I was wrong about these altcoins. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. We are looking at Bitcoin as always, even in my previous video, and we are breaking underneath this upward trend line. That does not look good. However, there's the possibility of potentially heading back down towards this Fibonacci around 104, but we have some strong support here at 108. And we pretty much just need to stay above this previous low, which was around 112. With Bitcoin selling off, we started seeing other cryptocurrencies pump. Just like we saw Ethereum, the money flew out of Bitcoin, went into Ethereum, and then when it starts coming out of Ethereum, you will start seeing altcoins go up 125% in a day. Moving right over to Floki, which is a meme coin, trying to hold that support on the RSI or the 200 EMA, still holding support on the Fibonacci 618 and previous high. So all this is looking very bullish. As long as we stay above this area more or less, we can see even going back further, right around this area is where we had a lot of support and resistance. I'm going to make that a thick red line, so that's going to be kind of our support. If that breaks, we could expect a further retracement. We'd ultimately want to be holding above this area for Floki. However, if it does hold the support, we can expect the 200 EMA to start pushing this back up, testing this upward trend line, and ultimately breaking it if we can get over this previous high. And then this would be obviously the next high that we need to get to. Moving right over to near, long consolidation, still inverse head and shoulders playing out. We could elongate this. But ultimately we have, let's get an upward trend line going. This being our upward trend, as long as we stay above that, it's looking very nice. And we just need to break above that 200 EMA and the previous high at the same time to push towards this downward trend line, which is what we are seeing as the major resistance. But pushing right above that 200 EMA is right where you might find a very good entry for near. Moving to XYO, I explained this one pretty thoroughly on a previous video, and I'm going to use these green and yellow boxes as examples again. We did the yellow portion, had that drop down. Here's the yellow box. We did the yellow portion, had that drop down. And then if we adjust this, this is kind of where we are looking at for the similar pattern. So with that, we had the major push up. We had the major push up here to 14 cents. And then we had a retracement. Another major push up, indecision, rejection below that 200 EMA, indecision, rejection below the 200 EMA. If we see support on this black upward trend line and create a higher low within this fair value gap, these two purple lines, we can expect this to start pushing up and eventually breaking over that 200 EMA like we did here and having a major pump, consolidation, and pump yet again for XYO. So if you haven't stacked your bag for XYO, anywhere within this area, if it's holding support, is a very good position. Ultimately, we need to be staying above this area, which is 0.007. However, I don't think we're going to be retracing that low. We could have a major flash crash, but within a few days, be right back up towards this consolidation area. I highly doubt a flash crash is coming. I think we may test this upward trend line once more and then ultimately break and hold above this 200 EMA at the same time crossing this downward trend line. Moving over to XRP, dollar cost averaging this one, no worries in general. We had our entry at 50 cents, 230, 260, anywhere below this, below the $3, highly recommended to stack your bags. XRP can take off. I think it's going to be further in this year, but constantly putting money into XRP, you will not regret it in these upcoming months, year, and years after. XRP is definitely something you need to stack a bag of, and we can compare it to XLM, forming similar patterns and used on the same network. There's a lot of downward trend lines here because every time I put one, it was disappearing. But ultimately, we need to hold within this triangle. If we do not hold within this triangle, we could expect the Fibonacci retracement to be pushing us back down to the 618 within this area above the 200 EMA, above 32 cents and pushing back up towards this downward trend line. I again don't think we're going to be heading that low, but if you have a sell stop that low, you may want to sell a little bit earlier and rebuy it back up. But if you are in this already, do not sell, as if we hold support on this upward trend line, we can be testing this 47 cents again, which is similar to XRP. I don't think XRP is going to be falling that far back with a Bitcoin pulling back, as it pulled back massively and we only saw a small dip in XRP, roughly 10%. Some people may think 10% is massive, but in crypto it is pennies for what is to come. Everybody is going to try and be shaken out within this area before the massive takeoff, and people are going to miss major potential gains in the upcoming months. Spell is trying to build some support, still needing to get above that 200 EMA, trading within this triangle. If we can get above that 200 EMA, that is where you might be looking for a better, more stable entry on Spell. LCX is one I brought back up. This pretty much also just needs to get above that 200 EMA and hold for us to start seeing some major potential upwards. But LCX can be forming something similar to this, where we just need to get that higher high, hold above that 200 EMA, and then a major push off. So right now it's just in consolidation. Wait to get over that 200 EMA before entry. None of this is financial advice. If you're buying XRP and XLM, Hbar is definitely one to keep an eye on as well. Maybe retrace lower and test the 200 EMA. It is a possibility. However, if we get consolidation and start pushing upwards, we just need to break the downward trend line and this previous high, which was the 618 retracement, which is why we have this as a 618 retracement at 20 cents. 4-cent differential, almost 20% decrease in price is a possibility before ultimately pushing up and beyond that previous high. So I'm personally waiting to see what Hbar does before entering, but anytime above this downward trend line is a good bet. NKN, I brought this one up from a long time ago, but NKN in consolidation, when we get over that 200 EMA and this downward trend line, that's when we'll dig a little bit further into it. XDC, and I'll actually throw in BCH as well. XDC is doing exactly what we expected. We had the double top, which we talked about previously right here. And with that double top, we had a push down, which I said we could be potentially testing this 200 EMA. So I have not entered XDC, but it is traded on MEXC. I have a reference link in the description below if you want to use MEXC to trade this and Tornado Cash. Use VPN. I always recommend that if you're going to trade on MEXC, but we could be potentially hitting that 200 EMA for XDC, just waiting for a good entry on that. And then lastly, BCH, we'll do USD, Coinbase, BCH. Not something I really look at often, as it was a branch to Bitcoin. However, it is building very nicely. Looking at the bigger picture, let's zoom out to the weekly. All right. BCH at a high of nearly $4,300. We have a downward trend line, which was broken more or less. And we are trying to build some support over that 200 EMA. Me personally, I don't recommend investing in BCH, as it's just a branch of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is more reliable. BCH could make some quick gains. That's not a lie. You could go from 500 to the 4,000, which is about 660%. I do think there are better options like XDC, XRP, XLM, XC, XR, all that X's, XYO. I mean, pennies. You don't have to invest $563 for the possibility of hitting 4,000. It is an option, as the Fibonacci retracement from its all-time high on this chart at least to here is about 2,702. So the percent actual profit, maybe 363%. It is filling out what we are looking for. Breaking of a downward trend line, holding over the 200 EMA. So everything does look good. If we can get a higher high than this one and a higher high than this one, the next actual position it may reach is around a 200% gain. But again, the smaller cryptocurrencies may have a better bet at getting you a 200% gain instead of spending 500 on a bigger purchase. You could spend 8 cents and get 1,000 of these and just try and get a double your money up to 15 cents. But again, I think the best bet would most likely be like an XCN. Get a 20x when you're trying to get a 6x on BCH. But that's it for this video. Like and subscribe if you want. References in the description below. Grass is doing free airdrop money this month. If you want free money, definitely check out that reference link. And good luck. Have fun with it. I will see you guys on the next one.